Okay, so today is Tarot Tuesday. Yay! I was off a couple weeks for not feeling well, and I'm very glad to be back with Tarot Tuesday this week. And today's topic is um, is on past lives and reincarnation. So I haven't talked about this in a long time, but I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and then I did a session with a woman and her two young girls the other day, and we some things came up with her daughters. Her daughters actually remembered choosing her as their mother. Both of them remembered it. And both of them told similar stories without having heard the story from the other one. So and what was interesting is that her sister, I think it was her sister, was having a baby around the same time as one of them, and they remember choosing like her over the aunt, like in seeing, and they said they saw pictures, like it was like on a button, and they like pressed the button with the picture, and it was really fascinating to me. And I just thought, that's going to be a great topic for Tarot Tuesday. So, um, and really kids. So when I got into all this work, there was a lot of growing and evolving for me to do, and things that I had never, really heard of or knew much about. And reincarnation was definitely one of those. And I made a friend whose son was also on the autism spectrum. In fact, she was actually the person that really kind of pushed me into this, because she had recommended a book to me. And anyway, but her son had vivid memories of being a pilot in a past life. And like to the point that they were able to research it and find who he was and get very details and pictures. And I mean, it was really incredible. And then if you're, the books that I read, and this was of course over a decade ago, but Brian Weiss is his name, Weiss. He wrote several books on reincarnation. Many lives, I don't know. Anyway, you can look up reincarnation, and I had to actually scroll down to him. He used to be the top books on reincarnation. There's a lot more out now, so I guess it's become a more popular topic. He used to be kind of the main author, but kids to me are really the biggest teller, because kids aren't going to lie. There's no high, they don't have any reason to lie. They don't know to lie. It's kind of like working on horses. Horses and animals in general. Horses don't know to lie, so their reactions are pure. And kids are the exact same way. So when a kid starts talking, like like the girl did, like, and I got to talk to both of these girls, and one of them was very much more chatty than the other one, and she was just she could tell me. She says, I do magic with my hands. I put my hands on my sister if she's not feeling good, and this and that. And I was like, you keep that up. I go, that is your magic, and you keep doing that. And that to me is just so pure and wonderful, because kids just don't make it up. And so when you're talking about reincarnation and you read stories of kids and what they remember, there's just no denying it. Especially when those things can be proven and verified. So those are some great resources. Like I said, there's definitely many books out there, and there's lots of people that talk about reincarnation. Probably the first story that I really have personally of connecting with past lives was, I was still kind of early on. I was taking a class with my mentor, and I came to class on a Saturday, and I had seen a really horrific, I mean, I literally was almost a part of this horrific accident. I was traveling down I-35 from Austin to Waco, so going north. And I was behind a semi truck, and in the right lane, or maybe the middle lane, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 lanes, but and suddenly, there was an accident. Well, a woman in a Humvee, so Fort Hood is south of Waco, and was just a little south of where I was. And a young military woman in a Humvee had come from the opposite side of the interstate and come over the concrete barrier and hit a car and hit the semi directly in front of me. And she landed upside down. Unfortunately, it killed her, the person driving the car, and the person in the semi. And I got out, had to see all of it, called 911. It was really traumatic. I'm not going to deny it was very traumatic. And but the lady that I was in my class with, her name is Elaine, and she's still doing work, and it's wonderful. She said to me, and I think actually, I don't know if it was right after or later, I travel that interstate a lot when I went to Waco. So I would go by the place where the accident was. And, I said, I still like, oh, that's what it was. Okay. Yeah. I was traveling through there again, and I could feel the soul of the semi driver. And I crossed him over. He was probably the very first soul I think I ever crossed over. And I could still feel him there. And when I told Elaine that, she said, you have a past life with all 3 of these people. The woman in the Humvee, the woman in the car, or the person in the car, and the semi driver. You need to go see, you need to figure out how you're connected to those people, because when you experience something this intense with people, whether you've met them before or not, you have a past life with them. And it really, I had to just meditate and connect and ask to be shown that lifetime. And it was early human experience, caveman, almost like very indigenous type population. And we all lived in the same population. And so there was definitely a connection there. And that was my first, like I said, that was my first kind of exposure to my own past lives. And then I had a reading years ago done by a lady in South Africa. She does all of hers by email and by just writing. And she told me about 2 or 3 other past lives that I had. One with my now ex-husband, or no, several, 2 or 3 with my now ex-husband, where he had always been the one to kind of, I was a healer. I would come into power where women and or healers were not meant to be in power, and we would split up, and he would be the one, he would take my children, or my children would be gone, and in some way or another. And basically I had to break that cycle. So when I tell you past lives can have an intense impact on this lifetime, they really can have an intense impact. So it is, and I have done that because I've broken that cycle, and things, and now things are actually good with my ex, and so it's all good. But there was a lot of intensity there for quite a while, to put it mildly. So the other thing that can happen is that what the lady in Africa also told me was that I have past lives from another planet, and I was a healer from another planet, and I have access to all of the beings that came to me for healing on that planet, I have access to all of their records. So while some people access what's called the Akashic records for past lives, and I have done that as well, I just go and connect. You know, many people like to access certain things and do certain ways, and I'm more of a very direct person, and I don't want to have to go through all that rigmarole and process, and you have to go this step and this step. I just show me. Like, I want to know, just show me what it is, and that's what I do. And I have another client, and so what I do, I guess I should say, and what I would ask for you to do, whether you're here with me live or you're watching later, is to think about your patterns in your life. Because what I do with people is I help heal past lives. And why that becomes important is because sometimes you have patterns in your life that really you can't explain how they come about. We all have what goes on. Oh, I do this because I experienced this trauma, or I had this experience. Well, sometimes we have experiences or we have patterns that we have no logical explanation for. I literally just did a session several days ago, and the woman had a lot of physical issues that, to me would have been related to some form of abuse as a child. And there was none of that, like nothing directly related. And so sure enough, I went and looked, and she had a past life that she had experienced something very traumatic and very abusive. And I just cleared that out. So, but then as another example, I have a long-term client that I had, and she had a really just off and on very challenging relationship with her sister growing up. Her sister wanted to boss her around all the time, and there was just a lot of conflict there. And I went and looked at her past life, and they were actually gypsies, and they were not related, but her sister was her boss. She was in some way, shape, or form was something of her boss. And so she was ordering her around, and there was some conflict. I don't remember the exact conflict. But when I cleared that, it literally changed it the next day. And their relationship changed drastically, and they get along, and that the kind of the bossiness has stopped, and different things. So I could talk about past lives for a really long time, because it is just fascinating. It really, really is. There's just so many things that I've seen, and sometimes I will see a lot of details about past lives, and sometimes I will see just the very specific thing that I'm there to heal. And when I heal it, I bring it forward into this lifetime, so that it really is, because sometimes we have had experiences that we've experienced in multiple lifetimes. And so it may not be just one, it may be several. The other thing is, as far as reincarnation, just kind of physically, well, not physically, but how it happens and different things. So when a soul crosses over, there's various opinions about it and thoughts about it. We have to come back, and there's more lessons to be learned, that and that's why we're coming back. And there are people, I've seen people with, this is their first lifetime. And I have seen people where they have had many, many, many lifetimes, and they're usually ready to be done with that. I won't lie. But it is, and animals definitely, I have seen reincarnate. Some people will say that they were, I've heard stories of, being an animal in a past life and human. And for me personally, I have mainly only seen human, animal, that kind of thing. But not to say that it doesn't happen. It's just, probably because I'm looking at a particular soul. And so, I'm trying to help it in this particular lifetime. So, so questions? Do either of y'all have any questions that's like specifically that you would want to know and you can drop it in the chat, or you can ask vocally, verbally, if you want as well. You have any questions about it? No questions. Okay. Make sure I've covered everything. Okay. So, well, if no questions, then I'm going to move on to doing cards. I know, hold on. Let me look. There's a question. I think we did a pass. Well, we can certainly do that, Daphne, for sure. So, sometimes it comes up, and honestly, it was kind of interesting that it's come up, and I knew that was why I needed to do this talk on it, because, a lot of times what I'll do in sessions is I may not necessarily go look at a past life, but I may look at what I call a karmic cycle. So I may not look at a specific past life, but I may say, okay, this feels like a karmic pattern to me. And in that instance, that can be a past life, but I'm not looking at a specific one, so to speak. So there are times that I may, I can clear a karmic pattern, but it's just not, showing me a particular one. And that may be just because there's so many that it would be hard to pin it down. The other thing that I do is sometimes, when I'm looking at these, I ask to be shown the original. What is the original lifetime where this happened? Because then, like I said, I can bring that healing all the way up through multiple lifetimes into this one, in order to get it cleared. So, past lives are funny. They can be really, I've seen, I've seen some funny ones. Was it you, Lindsay? Like, who did do people deemed as old souls? Yeah, have past life. That's a great question. Really and truly, most old souls are people that have had multiple lifetimes. They are, and that can be animals or humans. I've seen, when we talk about children, they're just an old soul. That's usually because they've been here before, many times, actually. So, yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, I see that in kids, when I'll look at a kid and a child, and I'm like, oh, this is their first lifetime, so they're gonna seem a little lost. and really and truly, that it definitely happens. It's just a fascinating topic to me. And then you take this and you kind of almost get into, you can kind of delve into near-death experiences. It can kind of shoot off into that as well, but it's just, I don't know, it's just fascinating. It really is. All right, so let's pull some cards for the next week, see what shows up. This is Tarot Tuesday, so we have to do tarot cards. Oh. Okay, interesting. Lindsay, this may apply to what we were just talking about for we got on. So we have the Seven of Swords, the Death card, and the Mother of Wands. So the Seven of Swords, it really can have, it can have two different meanings, but ultimately kind of the same key phrase, and that's something, something is being hidden, or something needs to be hidden, or something is being kept hidden. The The Seven of Swords can imply that someone is withholding information that you need, or that you maybe you just don't know about, but you feel like they're holding back, or maybe you didn't know they were holding back, but they are. So it can come that way. The other side of this card is it can tell you need to keep things back. It's not time to share things yet. It's time to keep things to yourself. That I've seen it really both ways. So it really can go either way. The Death card is not, in most cases, I'm not going to tell you in all cases, but probably 98% of the cases is not related to physical death. It is related to something coming to an end, and something new taking its place. So I actually usually like the Death card because it does mean that there's an ending and a new beginning. And the Mother of Wands, she's really she is kind of the great mother of the deck. And so you see this snake circled around her eggs, and what I kind of like to say about this card is it's protect your brood. And it doesn't necessarily have to be actual children. It's just whoever you protect. This is all about protecting your brood, is what this card is really all about. So great cards, good cards, very insightful, really. There's sometimes we get cards that are kind of general. These are almost very specific. They seem very, very specific to me. So very good cards. Interesting cards, I would say. Okay. Okay, so I am going to send out some energy. If you have something specific that you want me to send it out for, I can. I've talked to both of you pretty regularly, but if there's anything else you want me to know, or for those of you that are watching later, I will just be sending information for energy for wherever it needs to go for your highest good. So just sit back for a minute, relax, and receive. Okay. Well, any other questions? Anything you want to add or you want to ask before we go? Okay. Well, I'm so glad you both were here. And for those of you that watch later, I'm so glad that you watched. And I'm not sure yet. I always kind of wait to see what the topic for next week will be, but I will sure be posting it. If you have a suggestion or something you'd like me to talk about, definitely ask. So hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.